All right,
All
folks.
set, all set.
Thank you.
Ready?
When you are, sir.
Okay. I'm going to order the meeting of the Inland Wetlands Agency, the Milford Inland Wetlands Agency for September 20th, 2023. Lisa, would you please call the roll?
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Here.
Matthew Connors, Heather Donaldson Gladue,
Aye.
Brendan Magnan, Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye. We have a quorum. Also, Matt Connors is not here tonight, correct? Okay. Just a couple of comments as we continue these remote meetings. There are a few rules. In accordance with the Freedom of Information Act and Governor Lamont's executive orders, this meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the City of Milford website. During the meeting, if members of the Inland Wetlands Commission would like to speak, please utilize the raise your hand feature via Zoom. All participants will be muted during the meeting unless recognized by the chair. After being recognized to speak, members of the public, please state your name and address prior to making a statement. Speak only to items in the jurisdiction of the Milford Inland Wetlands Agency, wetlands, brook, river, flooding, and wetland habitat. Zoning issues are not under our review. Will you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mary Rose, if you can give us the flag, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
and justice for all.
Item C. Does any member of the public wish to make a statement or a comment on any topic not otherwise on this agenda? Second call. Does any member of the public wish to make a comment on any topic not on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on. First item will be old business. This would be item D1, IWC 230005, violation 1, Avalon Drive, map 90, block 809, parcel 21, Woodmont Road, owner LLC. Mary Rose.
Hi, I'll introduce this in 1 second. I just wanted to share the screen so we can look at the site map while we're talking. This is IWC 23005, violation 1, violation 1 Avalon Drive. This is a violation issued 7/17/23 to Marion Residential for clearing work in and within 100 feet of a wetland and watercourse in the Indian River watershed. At our meeting on 7/19, the agency upheld the order and required that the property owners remove the stockpile on site and topsoil, straw, and seed to stabilize the cleared area. This has been done. Just a reminder of what it looked like. This is what it looks like now. We also required that they hire a certified soil scientist and have an A2 T2 survey completed and submitted by last week. They met those deadlines. I apologize for the scrolling. They met those deadlines and they submitted, and we had asked for an A2 T2 survey, and they submitted a T2 survey because an A2 survey would have involved the entire property. So they used the old survey from the development of the property and put the topography on it along with the mitigation proposed plan from Jim McManus of JMM Wetlands Consulting. I visited the site and walked the site yesterday with Jim Capra of Marin Residential. Site is stable. Mr. Capra said that Marin would like to seed the area again in the fall when they install plantings. They'd like to maintain the area that was cleared and put benches or Adirondack chairs there for the residents to utilize. There's some vinage in some of the trees that may have killed a few trees next to the upland review and wetland area. They'd like to remove those. And on the opposite side of the stream, there's some overgrowth in the vegetation and of Woodmont Brook, and they would like to remove that and maintain it as a grass slope. Initially, Mr. Capra had stated that they would replace the approximately 58 original plantings for the property and in the upland review area. The submitted plan is proposing to plant 28 plants. The report calls for about 29. Neither the report nor the plan has a proposal for restoration of the vegetation removed in the wetland area. Aerial photos from 2004, when the site was under construction, show that the wetland and immediate upland review area were not disturbed for construction. Aerial photos from earlier in 2023 show the area to be heavily vegetated, and you can see some lower vegetation, maybe some grass in there, but it was heavily vegetated. I spoke with the city planner, David Sulkus, this afternoon. He stated that the plantings that were on the originally approved plan had been part of a court stipulated agreement for the project's approval, and changing the original planting plan would require an approval from planning and zoning. My notes, the mitigation plans, and the reports are all in the meeting documents. I believe that Jim McManus of JNM Wetlands Consultants is here to present the mitigation plan and answer your questions. Again, I haven't spoken with Mr. Capra since I've spoken to David Sulkus. So I don't believe Mr. McManus will have an answer for us on that topic. I can stop my share. And if the agency would like to see the plantings of the site as it is right now, would you like to hear from Mr. McManus? Or would you like to see the mitigation plans versus the approved plan? Mr. Chair.
Well, I would ask Mr. McManus, does he have anything to say at this point?
Yes, good evening, all. My name is Jim McManus. I'm a certified professional soil scientist with JMM Wetland Consulting Services with offices in Newtown. Mary Rose, if you want to put up my plan, we can go through it a little bit. And then we can talk about some of the other things. Now, I was not aware of the court case. That was many, many years ago, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yes.
I just went to, well, we'll get into it in a minute. We'll just put my plan up. So when I'm chatting about it, we can look at it together.
You know what's gonna happen? Yeah, they're gonna do it in 6 months from now. Nobody even gonna know it's ever done. You're right.
I'm sorry, who's speaking? Please identify yourself and go through the chair.
Somebody other than Mr. McManus wish to speak?
If you'd like to speak, can you please either raise your hand in person or the icon on your screen? And we can allow you to speak. Otherwise, we follow Robert's rules. We go through the chair before we speak.
I'm going to take it from here. I think, Mary Rose, I think it's, that was an inadvertent comment. Who knows?
Ready?
So on August 30th of 2023, we went out there to delineate the wetlands. I over delineated. I went beyond the quote area of disturbance because I just wanted to have you folks kind of get a sense of how the wetland comes into the area. And that was done, like I said, on the 30th. And now I also reviewed the site in the area for the planting plan that you're seeing here. So what we came up with was essentially what I'm thinking is we're gonna plant red maple and pin oaks. Just 4 of them though, just kind of put them along the edge. And then we have 25 shrubs, silky dogwoods, sweet pepper bush, and spice bush. And then we have a wildlife conservation mix, which is kind of the shaded area on the plan where it says bottom of slope is an area of shading there. And that's a conservation wildlife kind of a conservation seed mix. Lots of different things growing. So what I would like to do in that area of the seeding is to mow it twice per year to help control the woody invasive species from reestablishing. Now, when I visited the site, now, of course, it looked like what Mary Rose showed, which was some lawn was deposited or grown, and now where they took out a lot of dense vegetation. It is densely vegetated with invasive species. I mean, it is dense. Flagging the wetlands away from the area of disturbance was not an easy task. I'm sure where they cut brush and vines and took some trees down were the same. I mean, I saw one of Mary Rose's photos. It shows it looked like a double trunked red maple that was probably growing. I could see the vines all over the trunk. It's now gone. They tore that out and turned it into lawn. But so that was our plan, and we also were looking to monitor the growing, the planting plan for 2 growing seasons. And I would recommend that first growing season be next year, because this year they're just going to get it into the ground this fall. So next fall, I would go out and see how we're doing, see how the plants are doing, see how the seed mix is doing, and see how the reestablishment of invasives are doing. And then we'll take it from there. And we'll do that for 2 growing seasons. So it'll be fall of 24 and fall of 25. So that's pretty much all we were thinking about doing. Now, I wasn't aware of all these court cases, but we were just trying to reestablish something along the wetland edge to, number one, hopefully the invasives will not proliferate again, and we'll have some nice wildlife friendly shrubs and some trees in there that at least one of them produces nuts. And then also an attractive seed mix that will not only keep the folks that own the facility happy, so it looks good outside their offices and such, but also does help with habitat improvement and things like that. And butterflies and bees using the flowers that are grown. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, kind of our simple little plan. So I'm willing to take some questions here.
Do any members of the commission have any questions?
No, I don't at this point.
Well,
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I may.
yes.
Mr. McManus, your planting, some of the clearing was near or adjacent to the wetland.
Right.
And you said it was densely vegetated with invasives. Would you recommend doing anything in there to try to control the invasives or to put some natives back in that area?
We're not going to win the battle. We might win. I mean, we might win the battle. We're not going to win the war. So, I mean, to me, honestly, if you really want to control invasives, we're going to have to educate the maintenance staff to go in there when they see invasive vines, particularly growing, is to just cut them when they're young and get them out of there. And since it's an area that wants to be maintained because the facility wants to make it look attractive, that might be a good way to do it. But to put a seed mix down or to put a couple extra shrubs, not going to work. It might look good for 2 years, and then it's just going to look like it looks like now. It's just going to be overtaken. It's just the way it is. I mean, this is not a unique situation in Milford. I mean, the entire state is being overrun by invasives. And it's a hard battle. And I mean, not to get off topic, but I was involved with the largest construction project in Connecticut and no one knew about, which was the conveyance tunnel in Hartford. And we built a mitigation area, an acre in size. And we had monitored it for 5 years, and we had spraying 4 times a year. And it looks great until we stop spraying. And then it's going to turn into a site Phragmites, because there's a sea of Phragmites inches from our thing, and it's in the center of Hartford. So we're going to lose we won the battles, but we're going to lose the war.
Well, let's move on here. Mary Rose, I would ask you, are you happy with the survey that was
Through Mr. Chair, I spoke with Alan Shepard, the engineer at NOK, and I understand why they did it this way. It's based on the A2 survey. I'm thinking it was based on the as-built. It says it in the notes which survey. A true A2 survey would have required surveying the entire property, which is rather large. So I understand they would have had to want to look at the whole thing. They would have had to survey this whole piece.
Okay.
And that seems onerous for what we need to do. We'd rather that they stabilize and fix the wetland area that was impacted than waste money doing a survey, which shouldn't be much different than it was when it was completed in the early 2000s.
Okay. I would also ask, this proposal, their proposal has not been approved by the city planner, correct?
That's correct. And I apologize, that was late information that came in, and I need to get to Mr. Capros so that he can make a decision based on that.
Well, my opinion on this, what they've done so far is a good job. Even where they made the stone swales for the water to actually drain into the brook and not erode where they planted the grass. I think it's stabilized it well, and it's attractive looking. And being the owner, I'm not the owner, but I drive by this every day, and they definitely want it to look nice. I mean, it's a high-end community there.
Any other commissioner? I'm sorry.
I've shared on the screen the stone channel that was installed. This was photos from Tuesday. This is the front of the site. There's kind of drainage that comes off of the hill and the slope by the parking area. And they've created a stone channel across the wetland into the stream area. On this picture on the lower right, you can see the stone channel here. And the silt fence, I'm not sure if it's in the wetland or immediately adjacent to the wetland, and we've got grass up here. They would like to reseed this in the fall. It's stabilized fairly well, but it looks like it could use a little bit more seed.
Yep. Mary Rose, if you could stop on one that picture there, that in picture 4. Well, actually picture 3 for a second.
Yep.
So for picture 3, the wetland does, you see where the silt fence is?
Yep.
So so the wetland is going to extend into some of the maintained lawn area. It comes right there, it turns and comes back to the silt fence, and then goes along the brook again. And that's part of our replanting area, which includes the seed mix. So not all of it's going to stay lawn.
So that
some of that's going to be, yeah, it's going to be right along that. So that goes right in. So we can expand some of that seed mix and maybe even push some of the shrubs back if you like. I mean, we could probably set some of these when we're out in the field, what makes sense. We just sort of put them on the plan that makes it looks like, but out there in the field, when we actually plant them in the field with whatever makes sense, we can move a few things around as well. But some of the lawn was flagged as wetlands. Well, some of the reseeded area that was maintained or was vegetated removal. Was some of it was lawn, not a lot, but some of it.
And through you, Mr. Chair, Jim, I believe this is the tree you were talking about.
Yeah.
Mr. Capra and said he'd like to take these vines down. I think the tree underneath this is actually dead. There's a tree behind it he might be able to save
Yeah.
that has similar vines growing on it.
If I recall correctly, the first tree you show me is dead. That all that green vegetation is vine.
Yeah.
And I believe the tree in the back though has a ton of vine on it. I believe, if I recall correctly, there is some tree there that can be saved. And
Yeah,
there's no reason to cut. There's at this point, I don't believe there'd be any reason to have to take that down.
I agree.
I have a couple of quick questions here. Also, I understand that from the original work that was done there kept quite a bit of vegetation out of the wetlands. Has any of that been replaced? Are there any plans to do that?
I don't know the answer to that. I just sort of stuck to the to rectify the violation through a mitigation sort of planting plan, and I'm not sure about some of the other upland plantings that were or looking to be redone or maybe thought to be redone. I'm not sure about that. I guess pretty much stuck to the wetland area to sort of rectify the violation.
Okay. Also, I understand wasn't there supposed to be a bond calculation made for this work?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we typically request that they submit a mitigation bond calculation and then we review it. They've spec'd the plants, they know what they want to put in, they know what's available. I could spend a considerable amount of time calculating that bond. They also know how much they're going to charge to go back to look at it once or twice a year. And they can submit that and we can review it to see if it's reasonable in amount.
Yeah, the engineer who was unable to attend this evening, Alan Shepard from Nowakowski, Obino, and Kane, we're working to put that number together.
Okay. Thank you. So through you, Mr. Chair, the outstanding issues is Mr. Capra is going to need to speak with Mr. Sulkus and see what planning and zoning will or will not allow and how long that will take. Mr. McManus, how late do you believe things could be planted this year? And I realize that's subjective to weather.
Yes. Well, with the seed mix, well, your guys are on the coast, but I'll just throw out the October 15th is typically the end of the growing season here in Connecticut. Now you guys are near the coast, so it might be a little bit longer. And the only thing that means is after October 15th, there's no guarantee we won't get a frost. So what that means is some of this, I like to get the seed mix down. And the shrubs you can go into November, but I rather not. Here's one request you could mull over. We can plant what's on the plan that you saw. And if they have to do more, we can either do more this year or more in the springtime. But at least we'll have something on, we'll have a seed mix down, we'll have some plants in. If we have to augment because the Planning and Zoning Commission says, sorry, you need to put back what was there before, then we can do that. Instead of just kind of trying to figure it all out and all of a sudden it's December, we're like, oh, well, I guess we're waiting till the springtime. Maybe we could try to get something in the ground now and then augment if necessary. That's just a thought.
Thank you. So
That sounds pretty reasonable to me. That's my opinion.
okay, does the agency feel the plantings are sufficient? The initial planting plan for the site is here. So you're looking here, we've got these plants in the multicolor here as Mr. McManus described versus these array of plantings in here.
Now, Mary Rose, are some of those plants still there? I mean, are some, nice trees that are around the pool and around the parking lot, or at least near the registration center. I'm not sure how much was actually taken out. I wasn't there for the removal process.
Mhm.
Clearly, the stuff that's down where it says area of wetlands, that's been removed.
Right.
But I don't know about some of these other plantings. There are a lot of plantings out there. Some of them have been taken over by vines. Some of them are doing well. So there's definitely what I would say was all the vegetation that's near where it says area of wetlands, that follows that boundary, has been removed. With exception, in the area of disturbance, not all of it. Clearly, as you turn the corner and head in a southerly direction, that hasn't been impacted because we didn't go over there. Or at least the cutting didn't go over there.
Through you, Mr. Chair. The this area of wetlands, this was not disturbed in the original disturbance. You can see in aerial photos from 2004 that the silt fence went around this area, kind of like I'm showing with the mouse. So this area wasn't disturbed where it says area wetlands. And the clearing now is just beyond the corner of the clubhouse building and down, not fully down all the way to the wetlands. So Mr. McManus is right. A few of these trees remain. I think the pine we're seeing maybe in that photo with the tree with the vines, maybe this tree over here. But the agency needs to determine if they feel that's significantly vegetated. The applicant now, instead of leaving this to grow, wants to maintain it, which in the case of invasives may be a good thing. And so it's changing the programming in this area, and the agency needs to look at that as part of their decision.
Yeah, I mean, certainly not the agency's fault, and it's not anybody's fault here. But Mary Rose, correct me if I'm wrong. The house, the apartment complex has been there for about 20 years, correct?
It was built in 2004.
Okay, so I don't think that's part of the problem. They didn't maintain the areas that around the area. It says area of wetlands. They didn't maintain it efficiently, and then it got out of hand. So then they went in there thinking that they were gonna make it look pretty, and got a little excited. So here we are.
So through you, Mr. Chair, this evening the agency can ask questions. They can take no action. They can modify the violation. They can release the violation. I've written for you, as I typically do, a Chinese menu of proposed options. One of which is to approve the plan, give the applicant a date to get an answer from the city planner by, and give the applicant a date to get the mitigation plantings and any changes to the plan in for review. We can modify that as Mr. McManus has suggested. The second or third motion shows installation of the plantings and seed by a certain date, still obtaining a review by the city planner, and submitting the required mitigation monitoring bond calculation.
What is the agency's thoughts on this?
Well, I would ask Mary Rose, what's her feeling? A third one?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there's arguments for all of them. I haven't heard from many members, but at the very least, the owners are going to need to speak with the city planner and the planning
I
board.
understand that.
Okay.
If I may speak,
Go ahead,
Mr.
Julie.
Chair, I personally, think that the idea of getting some plants in place and getting the ball rolling for future potential modification as needed. One question I have too, when it comes to invasives, when we start planting a lot of more plantings closer together, it seems to me like that makes it more difficult to maintain and fight the invasives, whereas if we keep things spread out, we spoke of, working with the landscapers to better, manage the property to keep the invasives at bay. If the plantings are a little bit more sparse, that might leave less for the invasives to kind of grab onto and grow out of control. But I do like the idea of, before the frost sets in, before it's too late, certainly they're improving the property with what their plan is. And it can certainly be modified if needed.
I agree with Julie on that.
Anybody else? Okay, I think we're going to require some, at least getting to calculate a bond to ensure that this is all done properly. Something we might want to consider. I believe that's in the motions also. Well, where's the agency think? Where you want to go?
Well, I think go with the motion to put the plants that are on Jim's plan there. Get this in motion before it's too late in the season and give us the option to modify it if we need to. Does that sound reasonable, Mary Rose?
Sounds reasonable. I'm adding your the submission of the mitigation monitoring bond calculation and a condition that the agency will review and modify if needed
In the spring.
this, or if needed in the spring, you're saying?
I would say in the spring, you're not gonna do it this fall.
It's true.
Hmm.
Mr. Chair,
Or
would
is
you
it
like-
based on planning and zoning?
it's based on planning and zoning.
Yeah, but let them get what they've got done and then deal with planning and zoning.
Right, but I meant modifications if needed based on planning and zoning's outcome, not just the fall, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'm gonna read that modified motion. Do you have dates? Mr. McManus, you had said you felt the plantings and seeds should be installed by October 15th or November 1st.
October 15th.
October 15th. I like to move things right along here. Let's,
Alrighty.
yeah.
Okay, so
I mean, if
then
we could finish all of the plantings by the 15th of October, that would be very nice. I like to get the seed mix down as soon as possible, and the shrubs we have a little bit more flexibility with, but
Yeah,
let's
sooner
get
the
the seed
better.
in and start growing something. It's not going to be fantastic, but at least get it going, get it germinating, and then in the spring and moving forward, it'll pop next spring and summer. And then like I said, we have a lot, we have a depending on weather, we have more flexibility with the shrubs and the tree plantings. They can take a little bit more rough weather than seed mixes.
so do you think giving until November 15th for planning and zoning is reasonable? That would give them 2 zoning meetings to get this worked out.
That's
Yeah,
pretty late in the year to be planting.
Depending
No,
on
not for plantings, just for zoning. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I mean, depending on weather, we can still do things up to November 15th, but
Yeah.
starting to get a little Thanksgiving.
Doesn't give the roots a chance to get going at all.
Well,
Right, through
Thanksgiving, I've
you,
had some
Mr.
cold
Chair.
Thanksgiving days,
Right, through you, Mr. Chair. What I was asking was if giving them until November 15th to review with planning and zoning, if they'll need to do more in the spring, was acceptable.
It sounds fine to me.
With plantings done by October 15th, they would need to submit their bond by the 14th, and they'd need to get the calculation to me by the 1st so that I could review it. Mr. Chairman, would you like me to read the modified motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, if this is the motion the agency so chooses, it would read, Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the mitigation monitoring plan and report entitled Wetland Mitigation Plan Prepared for Marion Residential, 1 Avalon Drive, Milford, Connecticut, by NOK, one sheet dated 9/13/23, and Wetlands Restoration Mitigation Planting Plan by JMM Wetland Consulting Services, LLC, dated 9/11/23 for cease and desist order IWC 23005, 1 Avalon Drive. And that the order be modified to require that the property owner by 11/15/23 obtain and submit approval from the city planner and planning and zoning board for this change to the mitigation to the plan approved by the stipulated agreement. By 10/14/23, submit the required mitigation monitoring bond. They're out of order, but 10/15/23, install the plantings and seed as required in the mitigation monitoring report. Submit mitigation monitoring reports by a professional wetland scientist at planting installation and twice a year for 3 years by June 30th and November 30th on the status of the plantings and an invasive control and any invasive control that is required. By 10/1/23, submission of a mitigation monitoring bond calculation, and the agency can or will modify this order if needed based on the planning and zoning review. That is, I believe, your amended motion.
Motion's been presented. Does anybody wish to make the motion?
I'll make that motion.
A motion had been presented. Is there a second?
I'll second. Julie,
Albo has seconded. Lisa, will you
Roll
please
call
call the
vote.
roll? Oh, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Lisa, would you call the roll?
Ranjit Bahav,
Yes.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Heather Donaldson Gladue,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion passes unanimously. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Mary Rose. Take care.
Moving on to new business. Item E1. IW 230060, 85 Viscount Drive. Proposed removal of existing tennis courts would work within 100 feet of a wetland and water course in the Housatonic River watershed. Area runs.
Okay, this is a, hold on a second, and we'll share a photo again so you can multitask. There we go. This is a proposal by Heritage Sound Condominium to remove the tennis courts and fencing and replace them with loam, seed, and hay. I visited the property in August with the Grounds Committee and the Executive Board and met with members of the Executive Board and Grounds Committee. The association has voted and they would like to remove the tennis courts and convert the area to grass. The work is proposed within about 50 feet of the pond that's on the property. They're proposing silt fence and an anti-track pad, as well as sweeping or catch basin protection as necessary. They would like to do this work this fall. I walked the site yesterday and my photos and notes are in the documents link and they are on the screen. As you can see, I'll describe, I'm standing. This is the Heritage Village Sound, a portion of the Heritage Village Sound complex. This building up here is their maintenance building and parking area. Obviously the tennis courts, this is a pond that's on the property and the association's pool. Their proposal would be to come in from the maintenance area parking lot, install silt fence along the screen, roughly along the screen wire line, take down the fence, remove the court, backfill with loam and seed, and then hay it for stabilization. And they'd like to do the work this fall. This is a view from that parking lot looking over the courts. I don't know if how well you can see it. There's some grass growing up amongst the lines on the court. The last season or two, they've used it for raised bed gardening because they haven't been able to really play tennis on it. The pictures in my notes show the courts from a variety of angles. You see one of their towers, things that go with their pool. Let me know if I'm going too fast. This is standing near the pond, looking across at the grass area, tennis court, and the maintenance buildings, and the tower, or the mid-rise building. This is standing looking, this is the corner of the fencing. Beyond this phragmites, you may or may not be able to see a little bit of water over here. This fenced area demarks an area that's close to where their pool is. Again, pond and phragmites to the right. Area that will be protected with silt fencing, and the fenced area that surrounds the tennis courts. Different view. I believe they're trying to protect this tree. They can speak to that when they come on. The maintenance buildings and the tennis courts. And that's pretty much it. The board president couldn't be with us this evening. So we have with us a board member, Wayne Medoff, who would be answering any of your questions.
Medoff, would you like to fill us in on this?
Wayne Medoff, 85 Viscount Drive, Milford. I am the treasurer of the association. It's Heritage Sound Association. And I believe that it was summarized very nicely.
All right, thank you very much. Did any of the members of the agency have any questions?
No, I think Mary Rose explained it very well. I don't see any real problems. Seems pretty straightforward.
All right.
And it's
Anybody
less,
else?
it'll be less impervious surface. It'll actually be a better situation.
Acknowledge. Anybody else?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very straightforward. I don't have any questions.
Okay. Anyone else?
Now, can Mary Rose do a jurisdictional ruling on this?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Jim, unfortunately, I can't, and it doesn't fit the criteria for your jurisdictionals. So it would have to wait the 14 days to be a full application.
I think a full application might be a little more than needed here. I think we just take no action on this and, you know.
Or can we approve it?
Jim, there's criteria where you can give a jurisdictional ruling. And this amount of work this close to a wetland doesn't fit that criteria.
Okay,
So they would need to wait the 14 days that's required by the statute in case there's a petition. And then if the agency so chooses at our meeting on October 4th, you could approve it.
okay. Sorry.
No
I mean,
problem.
if anybody comes up with something in the meantime, I'm familiar with the area. I used to live down there. Before a lot of these things were built.
And all that discussion would be in this meeting,
Yeah,
in this meeting or the next meeting.
Yeah, it's I agree, kind of straightforward, but so I think we just take no action on this and wait until next meeting.
Sounds fine to me.
What's your thought? Mr. Medoff, thank you for coming. If you have any questions, you can Mary Rose, and I'm sure she'll be able to answer them.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Item E2. IW 230061 104 Edgewater Place. Let's see. Proposed construction of a single-family dwelling within 150 feet of a wetland and water course in the Whipplewog River watershed. Very wrong.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a proposal by Brendan and Deidre Arts for construction of a single-family home within 150 feet of a wetland in the Wepwag River watershed. The wetlands are located off-site on the City of Milford right-of-way in Edgewater Place. Give me a second, I can share a photo from yesterday. There you go. These wetlands were identified and located back in April of 2004 by Roy Shook as a concave depression with phragmites. And in 2005, the agency approved access to this lot over the unimproved city right-of-way. On April of this year, Bill Kenny of William Kenny Associates identified the wetland as a small isolated phragmites dominated wetland, which you can see in the photo. This evening, we have Attorney Kevin Kersaden, Bill Kenny, professional wetland scientist, and I'm not sure, Ron Wassmer is the engineer of record, and the property owners, Brenton and Deidre Arts, are also here this evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. This is Kevin Kersaden for the applicants. My office is at 3 Lafayette Street here in Milford. Also with us tonight is John Wicko, the project architect. I don't see Bill Kenny on the call yet, but I can give Mary Rose gave a very good introductory summary. The proposal is pretty straightforward. It's for a single family house. What triggers this application is the existence of the inland wetlands that Mary Rose described, and you can see in the picture that's on the screen. It's a very small area that's actually in the city right-of-way in the paper street. This agency, you may remember, you approved maybe over a year ago 94 Edgewater Place, which is immediately adjacent to the south of this property. A similar application, single family house. The other regulatory approvals that will be required for something like this, it would be a coastal site plan application with the Planning and Zoning Board with a further review by the city engineer, Greg Podlusky. Greg did have an opportunity to review the plans in the application today, and he did submit a memo, just pointing that out for the record, which I think is uploaded, and the commission, your agency most likely has copies of that. Right now the property it's been developed to a certain extent for years. It's had docks on it. I don't know, they go back, I couldn't even tell you, at least 30 or 40 years but to be exact, it might even be more longer ago than that. There's been several applications to this agency over the years. There was one for a gravel driveway, I think in 04 or 05, which that gravel driveway still exists. I'd like to point out that gravel driveway is not changing. Neither is much of the grading to the site is not changing. That's staying in place. There is a wooden structure that borders the gravel driveway that's also remaining. What's existing on the site is a cabana and also a gazebo and one of those kind of portable inflatable pools above ground. Those are the particular structures that would be removed as if this application was approved by both this agency and the Planning and Zoning Board. So there's not much changing. Ron Wassmer did do a stormwater management report that the city engineer, I think, had an opportunity to review today. There's no, like I said, no significant grading. There's no disturbance of inland wetlands proposed. There's no filling of inland wetlands proposed. There are also tidal wetlands on the I guess it would be the westerly side of the property where it bounds on Milford Harbor. So this is a proposal. My understanding is that the artists who are with us here tonight, as Mary Rose had pointed out, their plan is to, if it's approved, to eventually move to this as their primary residence. But they're boaters and they have grandkids, and they've been enjoying the property in this current configuration. And you know, that wetlands patch has been, you know, sitting there for many years. I think that the city, if it wanted to, might have to make an application to inland wetlands if they wanted to ever improve this, or, you know, as a city right of way. make it an actual street. I don't know what the application process would be, but that wetlands would be removed as part of that or filled. I think it was probably caused by a divot years ago during some other construction, low-lying area there that turned into inland wetlands many years ago. The construction of the house at 94 Edgewater has not disturbed this inland wetlands area. We have the same design professionals and attorney, myself. We have Ron Wassmer, we have John Whitco, and we have Bill Kenny. Hopefully Bill can join us. I know he had a meeting in Fairfield and he was going to try to log on right after he got out of that meeting. But you'll see his report. I don't think that this is, number one, a significant wetland, inland wetland, and there's no proposed disturbance or influence to it. So pending your questions, I don't know if John Whitco would like to add what we're doing as far as the structure, if the board has any questions for the architect. Thank you.
Good evening. Hi, John Whitco, 58 Prospect Street. I can describe the house if you want, and answer questions. Just quickly, it's single family residence in an R12.5 zone. Living area is 2439 square feet, 2.5 story. It's elevated to meet the design flood elevation of 13.0, and it's in the AE11 flood hazard, which is at elevation 11. The slab is set at 6.5. That requires very minimal change to the existing topography, and the first floor elevation set at 15.6, which is out of the design flood elevation. There is a drawing in your packet, SP2, that shows what Kevin described as the structures being removed, raised, and removed from the site. I do have some foundation. That's the SP2. Yes, thanks. And I do have architectural plans which show the foundation plan, which is the at grade storage. That's on F1. It's poured concrete with stone veneer, and that's designed to raise the structure out of the flood hazard zone. And then I have an A1 sheet, which has the first floor, which is living areas, has a deck that goes towards the harbor and a balcony towards the street. Kitchen, living, dining, mudroom, laundry. Second floor are 2 bedrooms. The primary with the balcony overlooking the harbor, and a guest room towards the front corner. And then up in the attic, we've got a walk up to a finished portion of it that leads out to an observation deck, which will be the location of the mechanical equipment, generator, and condensing unit. That's just a quick, to give you a quick understanding of what the house is designed to be. I can certainly answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else from the applicant? Okay.
Thank you, Chair. No, Mr. Kenny has not arrived yet. Thank you.
Okay. Let us know.
Mr. Chairman, do you want me to review the photos taken so you can have a orientation to the site
Please.
while we wait for Mr. Kenny?
Please.
Okay, so these photos were taken yesterday. I was here in 2004 when the this access on the right-hand side of the photo was approved by the agency. Previous to that, the artists needed to drive over their adjoining property owners or their neighbor's property to get to their property. So they received a permit to go over the unimproved street to access their lots. So this wetland is roughly the same as I remember it from 20 years ago. It's located at the edge of the right of way. None of it is on the Arts' property. This photo shows the Phragmites area. There's a little bit of grass in front of it. The house in the back is 94 Edgewater that the agency proved, I believe, a year and a half ago. Standing on the Arts' property, looking towards Edgewater Place. Again, you can see the width of the Phragmites area, the wetland area. Moving on to the Arts' property, I stood on their dock. This area here on either side of the dock, the slope down to the river, has been identified as Mr. Kenny as tidal wetlands. And if a close-up look shows you that they are tidal wetland plants in those areas. You can see the house at number 94 next to their lot. And they've got a gazebo and a shed. I think there's a deck under the gazebo. It's a boat lot. It's used to enjoy their land after or before they get on their boats. These are the vegetated plantings, the tidal wetland plantings and some tidal grasses. And this is a close-up of that area. Little fence to keep the geese out. And does anyone have questions on what's on the site at this time?
Do you have any issues with this house?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. No, that the house construction similar to the house next door won't have any impact on the inland wetlands. If you look at the site plan, pardon me while I scroll. Mr. Wassmer's plan does show that the utilities will be probably within about 10 feet to get the sewer line in. If you can see this line, I'm scrolling over.
Yes.
I would recommend that we put some hay bales around it at that time while we do that construction. Sewer line shouldn't take very long to install, just to protect it. They do have an erosion sedimentation control plan. I believe Mr. Wassmer probably didn't extend off his property with the erosion controls. So they have a silt fence around the site to protect the tidal wetlands to the rear while the house is under construction. I don't think there'd be any true issues with that development. Anti-track pad, be a little bit larger size gravel than they've got on site now to make sure nothing comes out onto the paper road and then and out to the access way. So I would recommend that the plan be changed just to add erosion controls by the inland wetland on our property, on the city right away.
Mary Rose, that's consistent with the city engineer's recommendation, right?
Yes, it is. Mr. Podolewski had a chance to review these plans this morning. As you can see, we have on the plans here on the lower and I believe up here on the upper area, 2 sets of galley systems to handle the stormwater coming off of the site to be consistent with MS4. And he asked that some erosion controls be put around the offsite wetland. And he stated that the city, at this time is not looking for concrete apron and sidewalks on this road due to a stipulated agreement from the past.
I'll just ask the applicant, does that sound like a reasonable thing to accomplish?
Yeah, for the record, Kevin Kersaden. Yes, Mr. Chairman, we had reviewed that and I'd spoken with Mary Rose about that earlier today as well. So that is acceptable.
Okay. Does any of the other commissioners have any questions? Mary Rose, I would ask quickly, has there been a petition submitted regarding this application?
No, Mr. Chairman, there has not.
Okay. Do any of the commissioners or any commissioner feel that a site walk is necessary? One way or the other?
I would say no, we approved the house right next door.
Remember it well. Would anybody representing the applicant like to make any other comment?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, Kevin Crusaden. And no, that concludes our presentation this evening. I don't think Mr. Kenny's going to be able to make it, but he has submitted his wetlands inland wetlands delineation report. And that is part of the record for you to review. Thank you.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
This is an application. We've just received it this evening, so a decision can be made at our meeting on October 4th. I would suggest that we ask that you ask the applicant to submit a plan, just a plan sheet showing the erosion protection around the offsite wetland. And if any other commissioners have questions, that they submit them to me and I can get them to the applicant so that they can be prepared for the meeting on October 4th.
All right. We can add that. I think you have a brief motion, Jim, or anybody.
Yeah, I don't let's see which part of it.
Mayor Rose, you want to give us
Oh,
some wording on that?
I move that the following information be submitted for review of application IW 23. I can't see the rest of the number on what I printed. 061 104 Edgeworth Place. That being put the erosion controls around the little wetland spot. And what was the other thing you said, Mary Rose?
Believe that was all.
Okay, to put the erosion control around the little wetlands for our next meeting. Put on the plan.
We have a motion on the floor. May I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
I think that was Heather,
Yes.
or,
Yes, sir. That was me.
okay, Heather, okay. Commissioner Donaldson Ledoux has seconded. Are there any discussions on the motion? Hearing none. Lisa, will you call the roll, please?
Ranjit Bahaf,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Heather Donaldson Gladue,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Gentlemen, thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Item F, consideration of minutes of the previous meeting.
Mr. Chair, if I can just make a notation, we had a Scrivener's error on the last page of the minutes. We had a misspelling of the chair's name. So I would recommend that the motion be as amended.
I will make that motion.
Motion on the floor. May I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion on the motion? Sorry, Commissioner Valvo seconded the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Please will you call the roll?
Ranjit Bahaf. Ranjit. Ranjit Bahaf,
Yeah.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors, Heather Donaldson Gladue,
Abstain.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye. Motion carries with one abstention. Let's see.
Staff report.
Staff report.
Right. Item G, staff report.
Okay,
Very well.
thank you, Mr. Chair. These notes are all in our notes for this evening, so you can refer back to them. I'll just run through them really quickly. the South Central Regional Council of Governments, our Council of Governments, is having a training for land use commissioners on October 12th. They're doing it in person and on Zoom, so it's a hybrid training. And I think they're in 1 hour increments. So if you'd like to go, you only have to put in an hour at a time. There was a statute passed, there was an act passed last year requiring that land use commissioners receive 4 hours of training. Inland wetlands was not explicitly included in that regulation. You all go to the, or have all gone to the Connecticut DEP Wetland Commissioners Training Program. That's not to say that you don't have to go to this, or it is to say you don't have to go to this, but it is good training. Clear and Kenner do a good job. And there may be something of interest for you there if you want to attend. The Bridgeport COG is also doing that, but they were doing it in person. I sent that information out, I think, earlier this week. The Kakiwik meeting is on Veterans Day. It's on 11/11. It's typically an all-day affair. They have not opened it yet, so I don't know where it is. But as soon as I find out, I will let you know, and you can let me know if you'd like to attend. There's usually good information for both conservation and in the wetland commissioners, and there's a mix of material to pick up. Spotted lanternfly information is in your notes. There's also a link to what the tree of heaven looks like, and I think I may not have added it. I will add the spotted lanternfly reporting form link. We've killed 2 in our backyard in the last 2 days, so yeah, we don't have any tree of heavens. They will go after tree of heaven, and then they'll incrementally go after some of our native species. So the U.S. Department of Ag is trying to thin down their numbers. Taft has links on the agenda or on the notes that get you to the meeting dates, the regulations, the bylaws, ethics, past information from the city attorney's office, training stuff, our webpage, always the minutes link, and our YouTube link if you ever want to watch this again. Office has been working on a number of inquiries. We had a lot of complaints. They come in and out depending upon the rains about flooding and various issues. And I've got the site statuses ongoing. We've released a few bonds this week. We've got a couple more as-builts in for people closing out their permits. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair. Are there any questions for me?
Okay, moving on. Chair's report. The next regular meeting will be a regular meeting on October 4th, 2023 via Zoom. Please let the office know if you cannot attend and get any questions you have on the applications to Mary Rose so that you can forward them to the applicant. Also, I apologize for the computer snap. Fortunately, my IT person in the other room.
Mr. Chair, if I can interrupt, I apologize. I know we're about to leave. I got 2 emails late this afternoon. The mayor's office is holding a commissioner boards and commissions fair. Unfortunately, they've scheduled it for October 4th, our next meeting. So I've put a call in to see if they can't move that to another date. I think it's to try new people to get on our board, but I can't staff that if I'm here. So I will let you know about that. And they also held this evening, a Economic Development Commission held, they wanted input from boards and commissions. I let them know that, we meet regularly the first and third Wednesday, but they weren't interested in changing their date. I do have links to a survey if you'd like to do it online. And I think they're having some public meetings if you'd like to go to a public meeting. Sorry.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any questions? Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will give it to you.
And I will second that.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Lisa, will you call the roll?
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Heather Donaldson Gladue,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Have a
Right.
great night.
Thank you,
Thanks for your
everyone, for your time.
patience. Good night.
Night. Lindsay, we're all set. Thank you.